happy holidays. You have gotten a gift, everybody. You have gotten Isaac Guerendo, 11% rostered,
12.
starting
12.
12% Ross, starting
Oh,
running back.
now he's 12% roster.
Can't forget it. Holidays are ruined. I mean, what a gift. Unfortunately, obviously, these gifts come with bad news, as both McCaffrey and Jordan Mason are either currently on IR or will be on IR. So with that said, we've got 6 teams on a bye: Baltimore, Denver, Houston, Indianapolis, New England, and Washington. Jamey, who are the top 3 waiver wire priorities?
Isaac Guerendo, and Isaac Guerendo. I really haven't thought much past him about who's the second and third best options. I guess we'll go receivers. So we'll go with Elijah Moore would be 2. And then I have Nick Westbrook-Ikine slightly ahead of Adam Thielen just because of the matchups in week 14 for each receiver. And then the schedule moving forward for the Titans is so unbelievably fantastic that if he can continue to get targets and maybe add a few more catches on top of it, he could be an absolute stud. Clearly, if he continues to score touchdowns, but he's just been continuing to get better and better. And just given the schedule, I like him slightly better than Thielen. But those are the if you want to say 4 guys, those are the 4 guys you want to add.
You said Thielen was the 4th one?
Yeah, I mean, look, Thielen's coming off a big game. Again, don't fall for the Tampa Bay trap. This is something we've seen several times throughout the season, that receivers go against the Bucs, they go nuts, and then they don't do anything the following week. This is probably going to happen to Thielen because he's playing the Eagles. Then he gets the Cardinals. I'm sorry, then he gets Chiefs and the Cardinals, right? Or something like that.
Cowboys, Cardinals, Bucs.
Cowboys, Cardinals, Bucs. So Cowboys not awful. We know the Cardinals not easy. And the Bucs, clearly you get to that championship week and he's still doing something of significance, you're going to want to start him. But with the way Bryce Young is playing, it's worth buying into Thielen. So all those receivers are kind of, pick your favorite one, because Moore could lose value if Tillman returns. They get the Steelers this week. And obviously Westbrook-Ikine is not the most trustworthy player.
All right, Dave, how about you? Who are your top 3 priorities?
Guerendo's number 1, and I think Elijah Moore needs to be top 3, so I agree with that. Let's call him 2, but there's no Jameis. There's no Lamar Jackson. There's no Jaden Daniels. There's no Bo Nix. There's no Anthony Richardson. What's wrong with Jameis as the 3rd guy to pick up? And this is the time of year where you're going to need to be up on who you're playing. If you're in a fantasy matchup this week and you need to win and your opponent has, I don't know, CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson as their quarterbacks or Lamar Jackson as his quarterback, you can play keep away. I would not want to go up against Jameis. I know he's taking on the Steelers. I know the Steelers defense is great. I know that Joe Burrow is really the only guy that's gone off against them. I don't care. This dude throws the ball too much. He gets numbers in a number of different ways. I don't want to face Jameis Winston if I don't have to. I would try and get him to keep away from my opponent or to use as a bye week replacement if I've got one of those quarterbacks that's on bye. So my top 3, Guerendo, Moore, Jameis.
Yeah, if Moore comes back, if Cedric Tillman comes back, though, is Moore going to be ranked ahead of Cedric Tillman for you guys?
Yes. There's no coincidence that Jameis has 3 great games. Moore has 3 great games. Every time Jameis has played well, Moore's out of hand in it. So we've seen the opposite in terms of Tillman. Tillman's had a bad game and Jameis had a bad game. It was the Chargers game. I just think with the way where he lines up, what he does for Jameis, the thing that will happen is we'll go back to probably one of these guys being left out, because I don't think we're going to get like what we saw last night where Judy goes crazy. Njoku scores 2 touchdowns. Moore has over 100 yards, so somebody will get left out. And look, I agree with Dave. Jameis is the first quarterback to go get, but it's a pretty good week for quarterbacks in terms of the guys that are available and the schedule that they have. So Will Levis's schedule is unbelievable. Absolutely fantastic for 4 games. So if your quarterback situation is messy for whatever reason, he's got some long-term potential. Like if you want to go 2 weeks without Anthony Richardson, if you don't want to trust the matchup against Denver, because presumably their defense will get healthy. They were a mess last night. If the defense gets healthy and you want to go Levis over Anthony Richardson, I may have it ranked that way. I haven't thought that far ahead yet, but they're going to be close, especially if Levis torches the Jaguars, which he easily can. Caleb Williams is available. He's playing as well as Jameis, if not better, in the last 2 weeks. And his matchup's somewhat easier this week, given the circumstances. So it's not like there's not a handful of quarterbacks, and then you go a little bit deeper. Again, I would take Jameis over these guys as well. But Aiden O'Connell, great matchup, coming off a very strong game against the Chiefs. Cooper Rush has played very well in the last 3 weeks. Unbelievable matchup against the Bengals this week. So if you miss on Jameis, that's why I don't know. For me, he's not top 3, or quarterback's not top 3. There are guys you can get by with this week. So to Dave's point, which I think is certainly valid, if you want to play defense against your opponent, I'm not going to look at that and say, oh, I didn't get Jameis, now I'm stuck. You can easily find O'Connell or Cooper Rush on waivers. And just given the matchups, would not be surprising if those guys are better than Jameis this week, just based on who they're playing.
But let's be real. If you could play keep away with the quarterbacks that you named, Winston, Levis, O'Connell, Cooper Rush, Aaron Rodgers is out there in half the leagues. To me, Jameis is the one that I'd want to keep away the most, not Levis. I'm not thinking about week 15 or 16 in this scenario. It's just this week. I'm trying to keep my opponent from winning this week. And
yeah,
so
I mean, I don't think I'm going into my waiver claims with the idea of playing defense on my 3rd or 4th claim.
Well, but you look at, I think, you look at your opponent, and if your opponent needs a quarterback and you are good with your lineup this week, then you
better go get Guerendo.
Well, Guerendo's going to be first for everybody everywhere anyway. Like, even the team that's out of it is going to put in a claim for Guerendo just to play keep away from the rest of the league, just to have him on their team. And the team that's got the most fab left, that's who's going to get Guerendo. Yeah. Someone's going to empty the purse for him in every single league. It's going to happen.
No dispute there. Guerendo's the priority, but also not a bad idea to play keep away. And you know what? I went back and I listened to an old waiver wire show, and I think, oh gosh, I don't remember who it was, but we sort of, I wish we had been a little higher on this quarterback, because quarterback is kind of deep, but it may have been Bo Nix right before he broke out. And my point is, look at Jameis Winston, and he has scored more than 29 fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 games. You look at Caleb Williams, he scored 30.
3 of 5.
It's 3 of 5. And
sorry, there was the Pittsburgh game. I wasn't really counting.
The Pittsburgh game, just kind of sort of throw out just because of the weather. And he only threw 27 times, which is not like him.
Right. So I'm saying, even if you don't need a quarterback, I don't know if you want to leave Jameis and Caleb Williams on waivers. These guys are.
But that's the point, though. Again, there's 2 guys there that you just named. Like,
yeah, 2, but like Will Levis isn't hit scoring 30 points, and
but Will Levis has done this in some tough situations, and now he's about to get layups.
I'm just saying, that's true. That's true. But Jameis and Caleb,
agreed, they're better.
Yeah,
but I'm just playing the other side of this. So if Dave is going to block me from getting a quarterback because I have only Anthony Richardson as my starter, and I can't get Jameis, I'm okay with it.
Okay. Yeah.
Of course you are, because there's another quarterback that you can go.
Right. And I think it's
going to be somebody who's not as good as Winston. And then here's the other side to it. Playing keep away, man, we're not talking about very many people that's going to do that, but we are talking to more people who are going to need to get a quarterback off the waiver wire. And in that case, I'd want Jameis ahead of, this is for me to start on my team in week 14 to make the playoffs.
No, I agree. Jameis is the guy to start.
Jameis is who I'm targeting there. Now, if I've got Jalen Hurts as my quarterback and I'm going up against Josh Allen, like, I've got no reason to pick up Jameis Winston to keep him away from somebody else. Forget that. And in that case, then I would go and get, maybe I'm getting suckered into Thielen because of the Tampa Bay thing, but I just think he's going to get more targets more consistently, and Bryce Young's playing well.
Don't forget about Jaleel McLaughlin. I know he's on a bye, but maybe gaining a little bit of momentum here. Obviously, you can't get by too much into one performance.
It's so maddening, because he looked great. He really looked great. And we go back to the Estime game when against Kansas City. He didn't look as good as McLaughlin did last night. I just wish he did more in the passing game, because I feel like that's in his game, and they just don't do it. Like 2 targets, 1 catch,
right?
Like, no yards. It's just frustrating.
Sean Payton said that he felt like some of the wide zone stuff were going to be good in this matchup against Cleveland, and that's why they used more of McLaughlin.